great. And I stopped what I was doing to listen to CPAC and one speaker in particular, Sarah Palin. She gave a tremendous speech. And of course, the next day she's attacked by Karl Rove. Karl Rove, I think, has a little issue there. I mean, after all, she didn't finish her first term, says Karl Rove. I don't believe George W. Bush finished his second term. That's my recollection, because he wanted to run for president. In any event, we just have one short clip, but it's an important clip, I think. Well, actually, we have more, but let me start with this one. There's Sarah Palin at CPAC Saturday, who, by the way, knocked it out of the park. Cut 9, go.
Let's be clear about one thing. We're not here to rebrand a party. We're here to rebuild a country.
A country. That's profound.
We're not here to dedicate ourselves to new talking points coming from D.C. We're not here to put a fresh coat of rhetorical paint on our party. We're not here to abandon our principles in a contest of government giveaways. That's a game we will never, ever win. We're here to restore America, and the rest is just theatrics. The rest is sound and fury. It's just making noise. And that sums up the job President Obama does today. Now, he's considered a good politician, which is like saying Bernie Madoff was a good salesman. The difference being the president is using our money.
But here's Sarah Palin. One more. Cut 12, Mr. Producer. Go.
Well, the election came and went. But the campaign never stopped. At a time when our country is desperate.
No, let's go to 12. Let's go to 12. Go ahead.
The last thing we need is Washington, D.C. vetting our candidates. If these experts who keep losing elections, keep getting rehired, raking in millions, if they feel that strongly about who gets to run in this party, then they should buck up or stay in the truck. Buck up and run. The architects can head on back to... They can head on back to the great Lone Star State and put their name on some ballot. Though, for their sake, I hope they give themselves a discount on their consulting services.
That was excellent. Karl Rove, I mean, do they give him a cot over there at the Fox News channel in Washington, D.C. in the studio? Because I feel like whenever I turn on Fox, there's Karl Rove. And he was on with Chris Wallace, who I have to say is the best of all the Sunday hosts. There's absolutely no question about it. No question. I don't agree with him all the time. In fact, I don't agree with him sometimes very vociferously. But he's the best of the lot. No question about that. Karl Rove on Fox News Sunday. Cut 13. Go.
Well, first of all, I live in Texas. I don't live in Washington.
Yeah, but you're a little dirty here now.
Second of all.
Let's stop. I live in Texas. I don't live in Washington. You spend a hell of a lot of time in Washington, man. And in New York. How the hell can you be on the Fox News channel every other day, if not every day? They're not shooting you from Texas. So technically, you might live in Texas, maybe 6 months in a day, so you don't have to pay income taxes. But boy, you spend an awful lot of time in Washington and New York, so you're not kidding anybody. Go ahead.
Palin should be agreeing with this. She didn't support Todd Aiken, and when he said the reprehensible things he said, she wisely came out and said he ought to get out of the race.
This is a legitimate...
Stop. This isn't about Todd Aiken, Carl. It's not about Todd Aiken. It's about you and the Republican establishment trying to pick our candidates. Your obsession with Todd Aiken is hilarious. Why don't you mention the other 12 Republicans who lost that you endorsed? And I feel sorry for Todd Akin and his family at this point. The man made a statement. He regrets it. He apologized for it. It was an awful statement, but the man didn't harm anybody. The man hasn't committed a crime. He's not Ted Kennedy at Chappaquiddick. And we never, and Karl Rove spends more time talking about Todd Akin than he does Barack Obama. Leave the guy alone, will you? Leave him alone. You keep putting up this straw man to justify your disaster in the 2012 election cycle, Karl. 1.3% victory, and I rounded it up. And I'll bet you these donors are still going, hey, well, Karl's a good guy. He's right. What, are you out of your mind? Stupid money. All right, let's go back to Karl, because he always has brilliant things to say. And by the way, did you notice, Mr. Producer, when I went on Hannity last week, I brought my own whiteboard? Did you notice that? I brought my own whiteboard to mock him. All right, continue, please.
A rape candidate in Missouri. If she can play in primaries, other people can play in primaries. Now, I do have to set the record straight on two things. First of all, raking in millions. I'm a volunteer. I don't take a dime from my work with American Crossroads. I even pay my own travel expenses out of my own pocket.
Stop. So how do you make your money, Mr. Rove? I know you're not Mahatma Gandhi. How do you make your money? You do have a nice suit and a nice tie, polished shoes. How do you make your money? I'm just curious. You don't make your money from America Crossroads, or whatever you call that group. Speeches, I think. Mostly corporate speeches, I think. Nothing wrong with... I get offers all the time. I turn them down. I'm not putting it down whatsoever. Give speeches, make money, do whatever you want. I wonder if any of the donors to American Crossroads, if they ask you to give speeches too. Because I know you're not homeless. Just curious. You tell us how you don't make money, but why don't you tell us how you do make money? I don't want to know how much. But you put it on the table. I'm just curious to know, how do you make money? I give speeches. Who do you give speeches to? Are any of them donors to America Crossroads? Just curious. And by the way, nothing wrong with that either. Go ahead, Mr. Producer.
Sarah Palin was about encouraging volunteer grassroots activity. I'm a volunteer.
Oh, stop. Oh, that's very clever, Karl. Karl's a volunteer, ladies and gentlemen, just like all of you out there who knock on doors. Karl knocks on doors and stuffs envelopes. Yes, he does. Lick stamps, although you can get the stamps you don't have to lick these days, by the way, the forever stamps. And Karl's out there, he has to keep changing his shoes every 2 months because the man's working the streets, just like all of you. He's a volunteer. Go ahead, please.
I appreciate her encouragement that I ought to go home to Texas and run for office. I'd be enthused if I ran for office to have her support. I would say this, though. I don't think I'm...
Why would you have her support? You're not a conservative. You wouldn't have my support. I'd oppose you, as a matter of fact. She didn't say she'd support you either. I suspect she wouldn't. Why would she? Go ahead, Mr. Producer.
Really good candidate, sort of a balding fat guy. And second of all, I'd say if I did run for office and win, I'd serve out my term. I wouldn't leave office midterm.
He wouldn't leave office midterm. You mean like George W. Bush left his second term in midterm to run for president? You wouldn't do that? Very interesting. Very interesting. But you brought it up, Mr. Rove. How do you make your money? You on retainers with some... I don't know how. I don't know, but whatever you're getting, it's too much. The proof is in the pudding, as we say. As they say in Texas. So, I just wanted to bring this up. Sarah Palin gets under their skin in a good way, doesn't she? He's rambling on and on, incoherently. Didn't even take out his whiteboard for this one, Mr. Producer.